SwissBorg is the official partner of my channel where you can buy, sell, hold, and more importantly stake your cryptocurrencies. You can even earn yield on your stablecoins. Sign up with my link and you'll earn up to $100 worth of their native token CHSB just for depositing €50 worth of crypto. SwissBorg. Hello everybody, welcome back. So we're going to look at Bitcoin just very briefly on the short-term timeframes and the long-term timeframes. So that's a weekly and on like an hourly and maybe a 4-hourly, because after a big aggressive move based around black swan type events, it kind of breaks the chart to a large extent. It's certainly in the middle when we're talking about 4-hourly to a daily. Yeah, it's kind of going to be a little bit broken. We need time to let the dust settle to find which range we're going to play within. My expectation is that the range is going to find a resistance around this box of significance. My buy zone from yesterday, unfortunately. No! Bought the dip, but it keeps dipping. Never mind. Look, we've spoken about it in the past. There's lots of black swans, I call them vultures, that are circling this chart and all charts really. And so with that in mind, it's not nice to be bitten on the arse by FTT. And look, if they're going to go insolvent or get bought out, that's their problem. All right, that's their problem. I feel sorry for anybody who's ever traded with them. I've never actually traded with them. The accounts that I trade with, just so you know, is primarily Binance, a little bit of derivatives on Bityard and Bybit, and then I hold a fair bit in Coinbase, SwissBorg, and then some money in Gate.io and KuCoin. But the vast majority lives on Binance because I feel as though Binance is the far superior exchange. People have always sort of like, I suppose, had a go at them really for doing the KCY. Is that right? No, your customer KYC. I always get mixed up because I'm a kid from the 90s, watching Bamagira. I get so confused with all this stuff. But people didn't like all that. So, why are they bowing to the powers above and allowing for themselves to be regulated and compliant? So, well, actually, this is the sort of thing that needs to happen if you want to trade. If you ever set up a traditional market exchange, you have to put in everything: national insurance number, the color of the underpants that you're wearing. You have to put in all kinds of stuff in order to be able to play the markets. Why should crypto live outside of that regulatory framework? So yeah, Binance is fine, and that's where probably, if I was to weigh it all up, about 80% of my spot trading takes place on Binance, and then the rest of it would be Gate.io and KuCoin. That's where I do my spot trading. And then, yeah, of course, when it comes to derivatives, I have to do a little bit of Wild West trading because the UK doesn't allow it. Binance doesn't allow it. Again, hats off to Binance for, allowing for the UK to get their way, because if they didn't, they wouldn't be compliant, and then they would be sort of breaking rules. Other exchanges don't particularly care about all this. So again, I know people don't like Binance or CZ or don't trust them, and fair enough. You can trust people in crypto to some extent, but the word trust and crypto have never really been best friends. But I'm not particularly concerned about holding money in Binance. But the reason I talk about all this is that I've had several messages today already when I woke up. Not just birthday messages, because it is my birthday today. I've had those messages, but I've had a lot of messages now, about 3 or 4 of them, just from this morning saying I'm giving up on crypto. That's it for me. I can't take it anymore. Blah, blah, blah. Which is fine. Everybody's got their own individual standpoint and a cut-off period where they just cannot take it anymore. But let me tell you, those sort of messages do remind me of how people feel when they get flushed out. Not just at the end of a bear market. I wasn't getting those messages at the end of the bear market. I only began this channel when we sort of started to pick up pace around here, and I thought, that's it. Let's make the let's start a YouTube channel and do all this because there's a bull market in sight here. So I wasn't getting all of that over here. But it is the nature of how bear markets end and how capitulations end. They end by washing out all these people. That's what this is, basically. This is people basically panic selling because they've lost so much. They bought up here, they bought here, they bought here, or wherever, and they can't take the pain anymore. And as it continues to fall, they sell because they expect it to go to zero. And lo and behold, it doesn't go to zero. It finds a natural bottom somewhere, and then that's it. All the weak hands and retailers are washed out. Now, I'm not suggesting you hold on for dear life. You do whatever you want. It's your money, so I can't tell you what to do. I don't know your circumstance. But there is a pattern to the psychology of a chart. And the final washout period, aka the capitulation, is basically that. It's getting rid of all those people who can't take it anymore, who can't handle the emotional side of things, and basically just wash them out completely. Probably never to return, or if they do return, they return once again when Elon Musk starts tweeting about it, about how he's adding it to his balance sheet or whatever. So maybe we are looking for capitulation. So let's have a look at the chart now as far as capitulation is concerned. So we did catch support here, and we'll look at the higher term time frames, basically being the weekly. We caught support around here, which was, you could call it coincidence, or you could call it TA. It was the bottom of the Bollinger Band. It was also the trend line, which used to be resistance, is now flipped to support. But the problem is, it's very steep on the way down. So week by week, we're going to be losing almost $1,000 each week on this one if we do flip this to support. And bit by bit, all the way into mid-November, it'll take us all the way down to our major level of support, which is what we've been looking for our, I suppose, our major bottom, which is dipping our toes just below 12,000. So think about that for a moment, right? That could be the case. That could be what we're looking to do here. We could be looking to bleed out now until we finally capitulate all the way down to 12,000 or just below. The chart would permit that kind of move. The sentiment that I'm getting at the moment would certainly allow for that. But stand back a moment and have a little think about what's taking place beneath all of this chart. Next bull market, I believe, is to be the institutional bull market. The reason part of the reason I think about all of this is because we see more and more throughout the bull market and the bear market that adoption is becoming more mainstream. It's stuff like Algorand, for instance, doing their World Cup, being the official blockchain of the World Cup, and blah blah blah. And there's going to be lots more of this to come. We know that BlackRock and Coinbase have made a partnership. Most likely they're building the first spot ETF for their big players and institutional partners. So we're going to go into another bull market, and this time round it's going to involve some serious cash, right? I did a breakdown on this, but basically BlackRock, if they were to just allocate 1% of their available funds, we're talking 100 billion just on 1%, straight away, just 1%, and that's just what they got in reserve cash at the moment to apply to something like this, just 1%. So, I mean, 100 billion is a drop in the ocean. 100 billion is where the whole of crypto market cap was sitting last time the bear market ended. So 100 billion was the entire market cap of crypto, Bitcoin, the lot, when we hit down at this area down here. So 100 billion in crypto nowadays is still a lot. It's got to be about 10% or probably more than 10% of its market cap. You can just go straight in like that, bang. But they're not going to be building this framework for no reason. There's a reason they're doing it. It's because they're going to most likely utilize it and put money into it. And a spot ETF is way better than your average futures, because it means Bitcoin getting taken out of the market in physical form, in wallets, tucked away off the circulating supply. So it means a lot more. So I feel the pain. Honestly, I get it. I completely understand why people want to leave this market. They can't take any more of it. But trust me now, you know, whether it's the end of this bull and bear market or during this period, I heard it all before. I heard it here as well. And this isn't just for Bitcoin. Many bear markets or should we say vicious consolidations have taken place in many altcoins throughout this last 3 or 4 years that I've been around in, and I've heard it all back then as well. And they almost always end with some kind of capitulation washout. And with that washout, usually marks a bottom, because people like to sell the bottoms because their pain is too great, they can't take it anymore, and that's it. See, for me, like, you know, I'm able to make my money through this anyway, so and you know, I'm very lucky to be able to do that. And also, you know, part of my trading strategy is to focus on that long, higher term time frames, because that's where the biggest gains are. And although we don't look quite healthy at the moment, and further downside is most likely, to be honest with you, between now and December, and maybe another big final flushed washout, it was most likely going to mark the absolute low, the capitulation low, which again could be another 30-40% from where we're at right now. And to try and catch that knife, again, was for the heroes or for the people with that kind of disposable cash on site, because it would be a serious knife catch. But a new bull market will return to crypto, and it will be pretty aggressive. And this is why, again, and if you watch those videos made back in the summer when I was talking about which coins I'm focused on, to be fair with you, I did say exchange tokens would be good, but yeah, and I still believe that to an extent. But after what happened yesterday, yeah, I suppose there is a flaw. There is a chink in the armor there, isn't there? There's a flaw in that theory. But it's still good though. Still a good plan. We'll just not use FTX anymore. We won't think about the FTT token. But the main thing I was trying to put across on those videos in the summer, which is that if we're going to choose coins, we choose ones that have been regulated, so they don't have to. So there's no dirt or problems that emerge, similar to what happened with XRP. And these things will try more and more over time. The SEC are probably going to keep trying to crack into crypto and actually succeed in doing somebody for something somewhere, to which they've not actually succeeded in that yet. But they'll keep trying. But yeah, regulation's coming. Regulation is required. If there's one thing that we can take from FTT, it's the same thing from Celsius and Three Arrows and Luna, is that actually regulation's not a bad thing. And it's like I say, if you're going to set up an account with traditional markets, you have to put in your national insurance number, you have to put in everything, including your trouser size and the color of your underpants. You've got to put in all these details. Because they have to be compliant. They have to listen to the laws of the land and comply with that. So crypto also should do that, and we should welcome that. It doesn't mean that crypto is not going to be a volatile asset and move massively up and massively down. It'll probably still perform exactly the way it always has, but the difference will be is that there will be some kind of protection moving forward from all this kind of madness that's taking place with all of these irresponsible companies and kind of very high market cap scam things. And you could call, in many ways, you could call Luna a scam, or if it's not a scam, it's a very, very, very irresponsible company that basically destroyed lots of people. So we don't want any of that. But again, standing back from all of this, it makes you, some people think that this is something that's just exclusive to crypto, but it's not. This happens in traditional markets as well. It's not as common, but it still does happen. You look at some of the cannabis stocks, for instance. They look like crypto. They look like crypto. They go through a period of euphoria and then they go into a horrendous giant bear market that maybe never to return from that. They are the shit coins of traditional markets, most of them. Maybe they'll emerge one day, but this happens in trading. It's not anything different. The only difference I would say that takes place with a crypto is that it seems to be on fast play. So traditional markets will see bear markets. If you look at the cannabis stocks, they've been in bear markets for a very long period of time, down 90-odd%. Whereas crypto, we see this. We see it even within a bull market. We see coins retrace 90% in an actual bull market. But yeah, it's not abnormal. It's kind of it's just how it is sometimes. And so what we're looking for now, what we kind of really want, would be a final washout, capitulation. Unfortunately, to wash out the weak hands and the retailers that can't take it anymore, similar to the way that it worked over here. That would mark the absolute low. The sellers have gone, they've been depleted, and the only people left is the smart money and the institutional money that's ready to buy at extreme lows, because the chances of this moving back up again is very realistically extremely high, to be honest with you. It might not be the case for all altcoins, but the altcoins that, like I say, that I tried to focus on are the ones that are already regulated, if possible, but also the ones with fully working, adopted blockchains. And they might not be the ones that make you a million X, but they, on a risk to reward basis, are the ones that should make you some money in the end. And that's the main thing. We're here to make money. Whether you do it for a living, you do it for a hobby, or a bit of disposable income, whatever it is that you're doing it for, you're supposed to be making money out of it. So, like I say, the higher term timeframes, look at this basically on a monthly here, and we've looked at this many times in the past. This is your cycle high, cycle low, cycle high, cycle low, cycle high, cycle low, all taking place within these white lines, which is the halvings. And we are approaching that area now, which is like 2/3 of the way through, marking where I would expect to see a low form, a capitulation low, whether it looks like the last one, or the one before that, or the one before that. They do seem to end in a violent and aggressive move down, and if we think about that taking place, we can draw a line. This is on a log scale, but you can see that there is rhythm to it, roughly speaking, which dances around that $11,000 to $12,000 zone. It doesn't have to come down to that level. It really, honestly, doesn't have to come down to it. But if it were to, it would be completely appropriate as far as the size of the move, which previously, we're from the peak to the low, we're about 84%. Yeah, fair enough. And from the size of the low on the last one, we're down about 87%. And if we were to measure this from this exact peak, again, we're on a log scale, so it's not going to be perfect, but we're down about 83%. So it makes sense on a time scale. It makes sense also on a percentage scale. So we would be looking for, if we were looking for perfect rhythm within the chart, a capitulation over the next, month or so before Christmas to take us down to that 12,000, or just dip our toes below 12,000. That would be completely appropriate based on the higher term timeframes, the long term timeframes, on a percentage and time cycle basis. And that would perfectly be appropriate, and we shouldn't complain with that, because again, we could look back in hindsight and go, well, of course it was going to do that. It always does do that. And it does it in around this time from the high to the low. It does it by this kind of percent from the top to the bottom. It makes all perfect sense. But again, if we are looking at this, there's a few things that we can also look at. This is a monthly. We've got hidden bullish divergence on the RSI on the monthly. That's one thing to think about. It does exist. But the main thing I'd say is if we go back to the weekly, and there's another way that we found bottoms in the last bear market and in the middle of the previous bull market on the money flow index, finding a very pronounced bullish divergence read from this low, which would probably be the equivalent of the 30,000 that we were sitting at before. So we've got that 6,600 significant low. And then a capitulation dump with a higher low forming the bottom. Same thing happened over here. So we've got our $14,000 top. We consolidated for basically a year. And then we got our low printed here around about the same sort of level-ish. So about 6,000, 7,000 level. Then we moved up a little bit and capitulated once again. This capitulation was a black swan. So it was the March crash with a very pronounced bullish divergence read on the weekly money flow index. So the chances of us being able to put in a read like that is very high, because this low here on the weekly money flow index is the lowest low that Bitcoin has ever seen, apart from one read back in the past. And you'd have to go all the way back to the weekly on Bitstamp so you can see that. But that money flow index read was such a pronounced low that actually, it was the most extreme low. So that's the most extreme low that Bitcoin's ever seen. It's actually different on Bitstamp, but I thought there was a lower one than that, but either way, it's very low. So with that in mind, to expect a new low to form on the money flow index in the form of a capitulation from this area, from this read, which is about 53, I think it's quite unlikely at this point now. I think if we do get a final flush out, a final capitulation, I'd be surprised to find that this actually goes to make a new low. It's very likely to make a higher low, which would be the same read that we would get from the previous major capitulations in the past. So significant low, capitulation, significant low, capitulation, significant low, capitulation, finding ourselves a nice little bouncy around here somewhere. Also, just for fun, we can see that there is bullish divergence brewing on the well, it's not brewing, it's present on the RSI, but this would probably most likely get cancelled straight out if we did capitulate. I can't imagine that trend line will hold. Either way, there is light at the end of the tunnel. It's this is always a possibility, a realistic possibility that we do capitulate in this form at the end of this bear market. We toyed with the idea that it might not happen, and it still might not happen. We may not actually see that capitulation, but if we think about it rationally, there's no reason why we shouldn't, because it's always performed that way, and it's done it around this kind of cycle time frame, and that would mean any time from now till probably Christmas. It should have happened by then. The low should be in by then. And there's a few ways we can navigate that low, but it would be done on the higher term timeframes, which for the moment would permit the same sort of reads that we had on this low and on this low, with the hidden bullish divergence on the monthly. Yeah, so I'll leave it with you all there. But like I said, just be careful what it is that you pick. Be careful with the exchange that you use. Like I say, 80% of my exchange use is on Binance, and we can see that they've got the cash and they've got the liquidity. There's not very unlikely going to be a problem with Binance. But yeah, who knows? The smaller, lesser exchanges, yeah, we could see problems with them. Maybe there's always that issue. There's always that chance. But with something like Binance, I think it's very unlikely. Same thing with Coinbase. I think it's very unlikely. Anyway, I'm going to leave it with you there. I'm going to go off and enjoy the rest of my birthday. I hope you have a nice day and take it easy.